Everyone, welcome at Wavect. Today with Emily Carrig, who is an NFT researcher and collector, and also co-founded the True Stars NFT collection. And today we're going to talk about how to actually launch NFTs the right way. Thank you, Emily, for being here. It's a pleasure talking with you. Really looking forward to our discussion. And first of all, I would love to hear a little bit about yourself, like what are you passionate about? How does your everyday look like as an NFT researcher? And yeah, what is your vision for the Two Stars NFT?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me on. So I guess let's start with what's it like being an NFT researcher. I've kind of taken that title on for LinkedIn because calling yourself a DGen is a little bit more obscure. But I started out just following the market, getting into all the different NFT projects, and over time, and a lot of failed investments in NFTs. I had sort of learned to pinpoint the better ones. Now the market is a lot more difficult. So things are changing. But that's how I got into this industry. I just started researching NFT collections, buying them myself, following the communities and what people were saying on Twitter. And then I started posting about it, and was able to engage like a pretty decent community at this point. And a few months ago, I decided to co-found an NFT project with another connection that I had made, and we put a team together, and that's how True Stars started. So
awesome. Speaking of all that, I would be super curious on how did you actually get into that space, right? It's especially back then it was a huge barrier to overcome. And how did you get where you are right now?
Yeah, so I learned about NFTs and cryptocurrency through a family member. My dad and my brother were both really curious about it. This was back when the pandemic started, and so we all really started in crypto around the same time, and we were able to like learn and discuss all these things that were happening while it was happening. And it's kind of nice to have somebody else in real life who you can just like talk to about all these things that are going on, and because you can't really see everything that's going on, there's quite a lot. And even though it's a small industry and small community in NFTs especially, there's still a lot. So sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, sorry. So that's how I got started. And like I said, it was around when the pandemic happened. There was just a lot of uncertainty about life and everything. And I just lost my job. And I didn't really get into crypto thinking that I would actually make a career out of it. It was just something I was experimenting with. I bought like 4 Ethereum and just held on to it, watched. Over the next 6 to 8 months, it really started to take off. And that's when I started looking into it a lot more and educating myself on the market, and and the the ideas behind cryptocurrency. So yeah, that's how I got into it, more or less.
Awesome. And what actually got you in there is your family, right? So if I understood correctly, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I had family members doing it, and so when you got people talking to you regularly about it, I was like, all right, I'm kind of curious. Let me just throw in a few $100s and see. And then as time went on, I realized what a valuable asset it is. Um, so yeah, so just got more and more involved as time went on. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Just, I don't want to go too far from the topic, but just out of curiosity. So
Mhm.
you basically had times where you and your family aped in certain collections. It maybe both or all of you, yeah, got basically wrecked.
Oh,
Or
well,
did that happen? Or
um, so it's kind of interesting. Well, so we all got into crypto around the same time. And then I started exploring NFTs a little bit more closely. So I really got into the NFT side of things. My dad and my brother, um, they are into more of like DeFi and crypto and trading. Um, my brother works for an NFT company though, so he's quite involved, but not as much in like in buying and selling and degenning um, like I am. So
crazy family. Love it.
I guess most
Awesome.
people's parents tell them like not to do it. um,
And your
yeah,
parents got you into it.
yeah, my dad was like, you should really like check this out. So
That's super
yeah,
cool.
how do I sound, by the way?
Ah,
My
great.
microphone okay? All right.
No, also all good. Awesome. Yeah, since that you actually know what happens in the space, right? What could be actually interesting is, as you just said, the market is super difficult right now, right? But speaking more fundamentally here and decoupling that from the whole price discussion, but what kind or type of NFTs do you think in general might have the greatest impact, or let's say upside potential in terms of adoption or impact, yeah, in the upcoming months or even years?
Yeah, I'm tending to think that NFTs that also provide some kind of real world utility or access to events, something like that is going to definitely bring more people in because they'll see the physical value of it. Um, excuse me. I think NFTs that can really provide like value to people are going to be the most successful, because that's generally why people buy in. Um, but yeah, I think it's very hard to do also. But when it comes to like real world um, benefits and access to different things like that, I think a lot of companies can already provide that, and um, so I can see that happening a lot more.
Awesome. Yeah. What is there, speaking of utility right now and real life value, basically, is there or are there some NFT collections where you say, hey, that's pretty cool right now and I love it? You don't need to say if you have a bag in there, but just in general, that's cool, that's awesome, that's probably here to stay.
Yeah, I would say my biggest bet is on the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I know there's been a lot of controversy around it. but I think what they've got is really solid, and I think that it's only going to grow, and they've got people behind it that can turn it into something even bigger than what it is now. So I think also the whole NFT community looks to the Bored Apes and what they're doing, and how that whole ecosystem is affecting the market. So, but yeah, and I do follow NFTs, not as much as I did earlier this year, because now I'm a co-founder, and when you spend most of your time working on an NFT project, you don't have as much time to watch other projects. So that's one of the drawbacks, but I'm really enjoying myself. It's been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot doing this. So
That's the
yeah,
most important, right? To actually,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, you want to enjoy what you're doing. I think that's what we all hope to do. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's actually the ultimate goal, right? To do something you're passionate about. Is it buying NFTs, or just like the next level right now, making NFTs on your own, right? And providing
right,
some value to your community. So
right.
that's just awesome. Yeah, since the market is actually super difficult, wanna go back on that actually. Is there something you think that could make or give NFT collections some more, let's say, the hype is gone, right? It's really
Yeah.
difficult. Some exceptional NFT projects still get their hype, right? Just like Goblin Town. Is the question if that works now after all that, still after all that dump in the market, right? But what kind of things in general, since you're building your own NFT project right now,
Mhm.
how do you try to bring value into your collection to actually sustain in the market and to, yeah, bring value, right?
Right. Yeah. It's something that we've really spent a lot of time thinking about. And I've come to the conclusion that storytelling is really the best way to build a community that is really engaged and loyal to your product or your brand, whatever you're doing. Um, I look at it in terms of like just storytelling, in movies or in books, things that have really large followings. And I use an example like Star Wars. I mean, I love Star Wars. I could say like, Pokemon for some people, or anything that has like a great following. Um, there's usually great storytelling behind that gets people excited and want to participate. And that's really what keeps people engaged and wanting to support it. Like, I think um, I think if you have a great story, you can pretty much um, you can
Do anything, right?
yeah,
Or
sorry. I was
no,
just
all
trying
good.
to um no, but like, let's say you have a product that you're trying to get people excited about. It's much more difficult to sell a product unless you're solving a problem, unless people like really, really need what you're selling. But if you have a story around it, you can pretty much sell anything. So that's kind of what I think. And I think storytelling is probably the most powerful aspect of NFTs. And it's also like the way the stories are told. Um, you talked about hype. There's also anticipation, which I think is a little bit better than hype. Hype doesn't sustain, but anticipation is what gets people to turn the page, right? They want to see what comes next. So I think it's about giving people that experience, and just keeping them entertained. We can't all drop 6-figure token drops on our
Yeah.
NFT holders. Like, I mean, maybe someday. But I think that's probably a pretty unique thing to do for a project to do. That being said, I just think that NFT creators have to be creative in the way that they engage people, and it's an ongoing process, because NFTs are a lot like startup companies. You can't just like drop an NFT project and sell it out and then next day it's over. You have to like continue engaging and building, otherwise it's a rug. And communities aren't
Yeah.
really not really
Happy about that. Yeah, true.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's some sort of 2021 thinking, right? Where a ton of projects actually just launched. They had to sell out within 24 hours. Otherwise, it's a bad project, right? And
Right.
yeah, it was a craze back then, definitely. Yeah. What also was crazy back then is actually all that influencer participation, right? Every token and NFT project basically hired some, let's say, yeah, pump and dump influencers, but also more quality influencers and celebrities as well,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So what at least I saw in the market in the last 6 months or so
Mhm.
is that influencer marketing doesn't really work anymore, right? Even if you're a celebrity or really a non-token or NFT influencer, right?
Mhm.
People don't really trust it even before the dump. Or would you say that's different, or why is that?
Yeah, I would say people are getting smarter about influencers. And if you've been in the space for a while, you kind of, you can see the ones that are pumping and dumping. And a lot of influencers know that they just can't get away with that because there are too many eyes watching their wallets. I mean, they could have, I'm sure many of them have secret wallets, by now. But yeah, I think that influencers, they can be really helpful. I like the ones that buy in and just support projects, and they do it out of out of like really appreciating that project rather than I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of them are paid, honestly, but I don't really know how that works. Like, it's very unclear to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's it's an widely unregulated space, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's basically always just a Discord, Telegram chat or something like that. Hey, if you do that, I will do that, right? So
Right.
it's mostly about that. So I think nobody really knows except when you actually engage on that level, right?
Mm.
Yeah, let's step uh let's go a little bit into the Web2 world, right? We were now on the heavy degen world, and since almost all, at least it feels like, major brands enter the metaverse. What kind of advice would you give such companies to actually enter that space? How should they approach it? How should they start, basically? And what maybe even avoid?
Yeah, it's tough. I think that I think that Web2 companies coming in, I think they have to go in, they have to engage with these NFT degens, and do it thoughtfully. You know, I, I think it's really, I think it's tough. Like Adidas did it really well. You know, other brands I think have appeared more like cash grabs. But everyone gets excited when they see a big Web2 brand coming in. You know, it's just a balance. But Adidas is a great example. They came in, they hosted all these Twitter spaces. They partnered with longstanding established Web3 brands, and you know, we're like, we respect the culture. We, you know, we want to come in and we think that this is the future. On the other hand, you know, you've heard of Nike buying out Artifact. You know, that's just, it's another way to do it. I mean, I think they had their reasons, and I'm sure we're going to see that happening a lot more. You know, Web2 brands acquiring Web3 brands and vice versa. Like, I'm actually surprised that more Web3 brands haven't bought Web2 brands yet. But I think it's going to happen because they're, you know, I just see more and more money. I at least expect more money to flood in to Web3. It may
Yeah.
take some more time after this market dump, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe in the next bull one, right? And there are
Yeah.
really huge upsides, basically, because last year there was some time where, as far as I'm not misinformed, but Ethereum basically had the same transaction volume or even more than Visa, for example, right? And that's actually a lot, right? Since Visa is
Yeah.
really a world brand.
And when you
Imagine.
consider how many people are using Ethereum compared to, you know, Visa. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of volume.
crazy. Yeah. So, Emily, I would have one last question for you. And
Mhm.
what three key takeaways, or even, let's say, call to actions, would you give young NFT founders on how to actually build a great project?
Okay, yes. I would say first off, spend some time in the space and really like learn it, because you can't just like walk in and do an NFT project. You know, if you start small, I think you can start sooner, but really take your time to understand the NFT community, and then all the different projects out there, and you know what you're competing with, what you can offer. Um, it's really not easy, you know, like you have to first of all put together a team. Um, you know, you have to market it, or you have to find an artist who can create the artwork, unless you are an artist. You have to then come up with the concept, and or product. You have to then market it and build awareness, which, you know, it's not as easy as it seems. So I would suggest, first of all, learn what's out there. spend some time, buy crypto. Second of all, I would say start out small, because doing like a 10K NFT project, I think that it's much harder to sell those out right now. And so we're trying to decide, what size our collection should be.
Yeah.
You can start out with like a 100-piece Genesis collection or something like that. Many artists and NFT creators do that, and then slowly grow their community from there, and then build awareness. And then the third key takeaway, like I said, it's like a startup business. So you can't think of it like you can just launch it and then, cash out like $2 million and kick up your feet and, retire
To
or
be
whatever.
true, right?
Yeah. You really have to have a business plan. But there's all different kinds of NFT projects out there. So, you may not want to do something that I'm trying to do, but I would think of it as like it's a serious business that you really want to spend like 24/7 all your time doing.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Basically, it's just like with every startup, right? You really need to have a reason for doing it, need to like it, need to understand what you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really hard, right? And to actually sustain that.
Yeah. If you don't know your why, then how can you get people to buy into it and to believe in it? And the market just adds an extra layer of complication. So if you haven't spent your time, buying crypto, learning about NFTs, just following things, I mean, I don't see it working out very well. And you can't just hire someone to do it. I've been approached by a lot of people that, they just want to pay you to launch an NFT for their brand or their company, and it's just not how it works. So yeah.
Actually, one last sentence. I think launching an NFT collection is definitely much, I would say at least last year, right? From the stressful situation, right? Like the stress you need to tolerate, basically. I would say more than when you actually launch a regular startup, just because all that pressure, because you're actually launching an asset, right? You deploy a smart contract. That's something that's also something which is a huge issue in every project, where people get stressed out. Hopefully the contract is correct. Otherwise, and it's just crazy. And Emily, I really thank you for being here. It's really amazing what kind of value you brought into this episode. And wish you a great day. And
Thank you so much, Kevin. Yeah, this was great. It's so nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
likewise. Thank you. Bye.